What if I told you that artificial intelligence has just revealed something extraordinary hiding in the world's oldest continuous human DNA? Patterns so precise, so structured that scientists are calling them genetic maps of an ancient civilization. For decades, the Nazca Lines of Peru have captivated the world. Massive geoglyphs etched into the desert, visible only from the sky, have sparked endless debate about ancient knowledge we barely understand. But 12,000 kilometers away, in the red heart of Australia, something equally mysterious has existed for far longer. And it's not just carved into the earth, it's written into human blood. Recent breakthroughs in machine learning have allowed researchers to analyze Aboriginal Australian DNA with unprecedented precision. What they've discovered is reshaping everything we thought we knew about human migration, ancient knowledge systems, and the very origins of our species. This is the story of how artificial intelligence cracked open one of humanity's deepest mysteries, and why the implications may force us to rewrite the history books entirely. To understand what AI has uncovered, we first need to grasp just how ancient Aboriginal Australians truly are. In 2016, a landmark study published in the journal Nature confirmed what Indigenous communities had always known. Aboriginal Australians are descendants of the first humans to leave Africa. Their ancestors arrived on the Australian continent approximately 65,000 years ago, making them members of the oldest continuous culture on Earth. Consider that for a moment. When the Nazca people were creating their famous lines in Peru, Aboriginal Australians had already been maintaining their traditions for over 63,000 years. But here's where it gets truly remarkable. In 2017, researchers from the University of Adelaide conducted the most comprehensive genetic study of Aboriginal Australians ever attempted. Analyzing DNA from over 100 Aboriginal people across the continent, they discovered something that defied all expectations. The genetic data revealed that Aboriginal populations had remained in the same geographic regions for an almost incomprehensible 50,000 years. This wasn't random settlement, this was precision. Different family groups, separated by hundreds of kilometers, maintained distinct genetic signatures that corresponded exactly to their traditional territories. Territories defined not by modern borders, by ancient song lines. Traditional genetic analysis can identify broad population trends, but Aboriginal Australian DNA contained patterns too complex for conventional methods to decode. Enter artificial intelligence. In 2021 and 2022, multiple research teams began applying machine learning algorithms to Aboriginal genetic datasets. These AI systems could process millions of genetic variations simultaneously, identifying correlations invisible to human researchers. Dr. Alan Cooper, a pioneer in ancient DNA research at the University of Adelaide, described the results as staggering. The AI identified what researchers are calling genetic waypoints, recurring genetic markers that appear in specific populations corresponding to major landmarks across the Australian landscape. These aren't random mutations, they're structured patterns that suggest intentional population movements along defined routes. In other words, the DNA itself seems to encode the same information as the song lines, the ancient navigation systems that Aboriginal people have used for tens of thousands of years. The AI revealed at least 12 distinct genetic corridors crossing the continent. When overlaid with known songline routes documented by anthropologists, the match was extraordinarily precise, far beyond what chance could explain. Now, here's where the Nazca connection becomes impossible to ignore. Australia is home to thousands of ancient stone arrangements, many of which have only recently been documented through aerial surveys and satellite imaging. The most famous is Woody Young in Victoria, a stone circle that predates Stonehenge by thousands of years. Recent analysis by astronomers from Monash University confirmed that the arrangement precisely marks the positions of the setting sun at the solstices and equinoxes. This wasn't primitive rock stacking, this was applied astronomy. But Woody Young is just the beginning. Using AI-powered satellite imagery analysis, researchers have now cataloged over 3,000 large-scale stone structures across Australia, many invisible from ground level. In the Pilbara region of Western Australia, the Marujaga Peninsula contains over 1 million rock engravings, the world's largest collection of petroglyphs. Some of it dated to at least 40,000 years ago. When AI pattern recognition was applied to drone footage of these sites, something unexpected emerged: recurring geometric motifs that appear at sites separated by thousands of kilometers. These weren't isolated artistic choices, they were a systematic symbolic language. This brings us to the heart of the mystery. Researchers have now proposed a revolutionary hypothesis. Aboriginal Australians may have developed a dual encoding system: geographic knowledge preserved in landscape modifications and songlines, and population movements tracked through genetic lineages. Professor Ray Tobler, a computational biologist at the University of Adelaide, led a 2023 study that used AI to compare genetic data with archaeological site distributions. The correlation was undeniable. Populations with specific genetic markers consistently occupied territories containing specific types of rock art and stone arrangements. This wasn't accidental documentation, this was information architecture on a civilizational scale. For centuries, Western science dismissed Aboriginal culture as primitive. That narrative is now collapsing. The AI analysis has revealed evidence of sophisticated population management. Ancient Aboriginal societies appear to have been practicing intentional genetic diversity maintenance, avoiding inbreeding through complex kinship systems that geneticists are only now beginning to understand. Dr. Emma Kowal, a genetic anthropologist at Deakin University, has noted that these systems represent arguably the most complex social organization ever developed by any human society. Furthermore, the timing of population movements detected in the genetic data corresponds with known climate events. When AI mapped genetic bottlenecks, periods when populations shrank dramatically, they aligned precisely with major droughts identified in geological records. Aboriginal Australians weren't just surviving climate catastrophes, the DNA suggests they were strategically relocating to refuge areas identified through their songline knowledge system. They had developed what we might today call a disaster response protocol, and they maintained it for tens of thousands of years. So what does this mean for our understanding of human history? The Nazca Lines have fascinated us because they suggest knowledge we can't easily explain. How did ancient peoples create massive images only visible from the sky? But Australia offers something even more profound, a knowledge system that wasn't just carved into rock, it was woven into DNA itself. A civilization that maintained perfect geographic and genealogical records for over 50,000 years, without writing, without metal tools, without any of the technologies we assumed were necessary for complex civilization. And we're only beginning to decode it. As AI technology improves and more Aboriginal communities choose to participate in genetic research on their own terms, we may discover that the oldest people on Earth had already solved problems we're still struggling with today. How do you preserve knowledge across millennia? How do you maintain social cohesion without centralized governments? How do you live sustainably in the harshest environments on Earth? The answers may have been hiding in plain sight, in the stones, in the songs, and in the blood of the world's oldest civilization. What other secrets are waiting to be uncovered? If this story changed how you think about ancient history, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. We're diving into more mysteries that science is only now beginning to explain. And if you know something about Aboriginal Australian history that we didn't cover, leave it in the comments below. Knowledge grows when we share it. Until next time, keep questioning everything.